believe it or not, this just half an hour on the customer issue, 4 questions. It's a video by itself.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I think it's so important. It's tied to the follow-up, the following question. So I'm going to so keep going. Yeah, we have 2 questions for newbies, and people think on behalf of them. So the question 19 is, if you were just starting out in shoes, what would be your game plan? I think this is a great question.
You're the numbers person. That's fine. My biggest advice would be to focus on sourcing shoes with less competition, specifically less FBA competition.
Oh, not Nike, not Adidas, no.
But you can find those items whether the size is a little higher, right?
It'd be hard to get approved in Nike if you're new.
True, you're probably not approved in Nike if you're new. And so there was that. But the other thing I said is go somewhere with a lot of brands of shoes. This is what I tell a lot of new shoe and clothes sellers is go to Marshall's, go to VF Outlet, go to some shoe store that has a lot of brands of shoes and scan. Scan every brand and then write down the ones that you know that you see you're ungated in, because you have to sell, in our experience, about 6 to 8 months as a new seller before you start getting auto approvals. So the biggest piece of data there is what brands can you sell, right?
And that's always changing, I think, too. Which ones are ungated for newbies? So it doesn't make sense to make a list and give it to them.
That's true. So I think every seller, when they get approved in selling shoes, they are able to sell some shoes brand. And I think the time is important here, right? And if I'm seeing Kim and Perry selling 4,000 pairs of shoes a month, geez, I have to take a year to get this. That's too long. Can it go any faster to so I think this is a very good question. And what Perry mentioned that let's say you approve for Nike already, you're able to sell, but you mentioned that the amount of capital that you expect to put in, and the length of time you want to give it so that you can have enough room to grow. It's also important, right?
Yeah, so you want to pick items that are going to turn quickly, minimal competition or few variations on the listing.
Right.
Don't just focus on the low ranks because that's where everybody else is going to be.
Right. In our experience, you can move above 50 to maybe 80,000 rank that limit competition and have things sell faster. You can look for items that have less than 100 variations on the listing, and that'll sell faster. So say 80,000 to 150,000 and less than 70 variations on the listing total. Then you've got some room to find those sweet spots with the velocity and the lack of competition.
Okay. So would you suggest the RA over OA when people starting out?
We would, yes, because a lot of people want to stay home on the computer and source, and you run into it. Kind of levels the playing field, so you run into a lot of competition that way. If you get out into the stores, a lot of people don't want to do that, and what you find is going to tend to have a little bit less competition unless you're sourcing big box stores that are everywhere. You know, be careful of Walmart, Target, Kohl's, Costco, and Sam's, the stores that are in every major city. Those are going to have a lot of competition. But stores that sell more limited quantities, regional stores, in those stores, you're going to find more limited items with more limited distribution. And so they'll tend to sell a little faster. They won't tank as quickly, as often.
I see. So shoes, that will apply to shoes as well, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's part of the reason that we shop, excuse me, we shop the discount stores a lot. Ross, TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Burlington, Tuesday Morning. There's other regional stores that are not everywhere. And they might not have the high-end shoes, but they might have summer sandals and flip-flops and other shoes that don't require boxes. That's one thing. We'll sell shoes without boxes if they have hang tags with UPCs on them, if they look like they weren't issued with the manufacturer box. Not just that it's missing, but it wasn't part of the original packaging.
Do you put them in the plastic bag?
Yes, in a poly bag.
And we include the hang tag with them also.
Right, and if they have
of course, that's
that looks like it was part of the packaging, we'll even
exactly, absolutely.
It looks just like the customer expects, just like if they went to the store and pulled it off the rack. And so those you can find in a lot of the discount stores too, and there's just less likely to be a ton of competition on them, so they'll tend to sell better.
So the game plan definitely has good substance in it. So for example, if someone come up to you to say, Kim and Perry, I can put together $2,000 a month for the next 6 months. Can I do RA on, as you recommended? Is it a good amount to get started versus $5,000 a month? I only have $2,000. What would you say?
You're probably not going to be full time in the next 6 months at that level of investment, but it's absolutely a doable business model. You can grow that amount of capital pretty significantly in that time period.
Yeah, especially since in our experience, 30-40% of our shoes turnover every month are of our inventory in clothing and apparel, not just shoes. So I like to say we're making compound interest work for us. The way a credit card can get you into trouble if the compound interest is working against you, but you turn that money over every month for 6 months, and it's going to be quite a bit larger than $2,000 at the end of the month.
I see.
6 months rather.
Yeah, so that's it's very practical. People, some people, they have been selling in other categories. They want to go into shoes, right? They kind of want to know what to expect in terms of the capital, time, and in addition to all the risk, so-called quote unquote, and that we talk about in the previous videos. And so I think it's reasonable to ask that kind of question versus somebody, they say, I'm new to FBA and I just heard that the shoes is a high profit and then, lower competition. I have $5,000 a month. Can I make this thing right from the get-go and make it work for me, right?
Right.
So
that category change. Do you want to talk about that?
What category?
You said changing from one category over to shoes.
Right. Yeah. Well, so we scaled our business to almost 40,000 a month in grocery RA primarily, which is a very, very fast turning category. And then
labor intensive. They're heavy. You do a lot of work to.
But it's high ROI too. You're very often selling 80 to 100% ROI in grocery RA, not grocery wholesale. And so, like that, we put over half of our budget into shoes, and it was just like hitting a wall, right? The velocity change was so sudden and so hard. Even though we're making more per sale, it really caused a significant cash flow strain for our business.
And those higher price points made it a lot easier to spend up our capital too.
Right. Right. So I'm not going to say we almost went out of business, but it was a shock to the system. So we try to caution people to move from one fast turning category like groceries or toys into clothing or shoes very carefully. You know, find a mentor, find someone like your group, Quincy, where you can ask good questions where people will help you. Because in groceries, if there's a multi-pack listing, you might have what, 2, 3, 4 variations. Shoes, 400 variations is not uncommon. It's quite a different beast.
Yeah, so I think the switching, people just have this kind of advice. I think it's really what people want to hear about, so that they begin to thinking about the shoe category or even the clothing category. So good information, awesome.